Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Davy Jones Locker, Curse of the Ghost Ships, which is brought to you by Pudcat Games. It's for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 60 to 180 minutes. On a calm, foggy night at sea, a green glow appears in the distance. You see it getting closer and are mesmerized by the floating orbs you see dancing around the light. You believe it is another ship, but have never seen such a color of light before. As it reaches the stern of your ship, you squint to see a lantern, and as soon as it reaches your sight, you hear her wretched scream from behind the light. You then hear the rattling of chains as they hold her on the front of the ship, the Banshee. She has come to collect the souls of your crew. This first expansion to Davy Jones Locker, the Kraken Wakes, brings all new enemies, equipment, crew members, and an all new way to defeat your enemies. So join me as we take a look inside this new expansion for Davy Jones Locker, if you dare. Just like the base game, this new expansion plays in 2 acts. In Act 1, along with equipping your ship, getting crew members, and gaining gold, there are 2 new objectives that you will need to work towards in order to have a chance at defeating the Banshee. Search Phantom Island to find spectral cards to equip to your ship, and find and return cursed gold back to the cursed chest on the same island. In Act 2, you have summoned the Banshee to face it and try to stop its haunting of the seas. You must use your new spectral equipment and crew members to siphon the souls from her ship and send her back down to Davy Jones Locker. So there's some great videos out there already if you want to see how to play the base game. In this video, we're going to be mostly focusing on what is new in this expansion, as there is a fair amount, a really new twist to what you're doing in the game in every act. All right, so let's dive into Act 1. So all your main actions from the base game are still here. You're going to be sailing the seas, you're going to be drawing the open sea cards, using the trade winds, you're going to be going to ports, going to the markets, you're going to be exploring all kinds of things to bolster your ship, including bolster. Lots of different ways to get your ship built up before you run out of event cards or you trigger the second act by having enough cursed gold. Let's talk about cursed gold. So all the gold now goes into a bag, and you'll be drawing gold one at a time every time you get gold in this game. And the cursed gold will cause you to be haunted. Yes, haunted. It is a new phase in the game. So once you have that gold in hand, one of the main things you want to do with it is go off to the new island where you can drop it off. And if you drop off enough, depending on the player count, you'll be able to reduce how powerful the Banshee is in Act 2. So at the top of every round, you're going to be starting with the haunt phase before you look at the event card. So the first thing you're doing is moving the tracker on the Phantom Island up by 1. Now the first couple spots don't really do anything. The next spot is a curse, and then you start to lose stats on your player boards as you move through those different rounds. And again, you're trying to hurry and get enough cursed gold into the chest on the Phantom Island so you can reduce the effectiveness of the Banshee when you get to Act 2. Now, these cursed cards that you're going to draw, you will be drawing them and placing them face down on your player board. You will not get to look at them, and we'll take a closer look at what these do when we get to Act 2. And then finally, the last part of the haunt phase is to check to see if you have a ghost token. So if you drew any cursed gold, well, then you will have to draw one of the lowest level of the ghost ship tokens. Now these tokens are just going to show right now that you're haunted. Later in Act 2 it will help determine player order, but right now they're just determining if you're haunted based on pulling that cursed gold. And what's crucial here is that if you have one of those tokens in this haunt phase, you have to reduce your integrity of your ship by 1. Now, before we go off to the Phantom Island, take a look at what's new there, you have to know that there's some new cards as well. So in the markets, there's going to be some new items that are really going to help you and aid you against the Banshee and the ghost ships. Some really interesting things there with tokens that you can use and spend in various effects. It's really quite cool, a lot of these items. I might even try to use some of these in the base game and see how well they work. But you have to know that as you travel around the map, there are new open sea cards, which are haunt cards. Obviously, these are going to be aiding the Banshee and hurting you. So in general, they're going to do all kinds of different things, but also in general, you're going to be drawing another curse card when you get one of these. So this one here is called Reclamation. It's going to say that you have to return one of your cursed gold back to the bag. Now, obviously losing cursed gold is not all bad, and the only way to really get rid of your haunt tokens is to go off to the Phantom Island and drop off gold. But to lose it in the middle of the game is not going to have that effect. You'll still stay haunted. So, as you can probably already tell, the biggest new thing about Act 1 is the Phantom Island. Now, in order to get there, you have to sail to a portal, which is on either side of the board at the different compass positions, west and east. Now, you'll still have to pull an open sea card to get through that portal, but you'll end up next to the island on the compass position. But you get to use your pirate meeples now in order to search the island, and that is a new action for you. So in searching the island, you're going to be pushing your luck. You've got a deck of cards, search cards, that you'll be drawing based on where you are on the island. And why are you moving through the island? Well, you're trying to get spectral cards, and we'll take a look at those in a minute. But in the search, you'll be drawing those cards, looking for path cards, or even shortcuts around the island to get you to different places. Now, in that card deck, you also have hexes. Once you end up with 3 hexes, your search is called off and you lose out on getting any spectral cards. So once you've searched the island and you're at a specific point in the island, you get to draw those spectral cards. Now, at the first area, you get to draw 1 and keep 1. At the next area, you're drawing 2 and you get to keep 1. However, in that final, the interior, if you pushed your luck far enough, you get to draw 3 spectral cards and keep 2, which is awesome because those spectral cards have a lot of neat things going. They're going to aid you in so many different ways, helping you in attacks when you go after the ghost fleet. They might even help you in searches around the island. So many different options here, also allowing you to deal with cursed gold in a pretty unique way. So that brings us to cursed gold. When you have cursed gold in hand, another option available to you, another action, is dropping it off into the cursed chest, which is really just putting it on the board. And based on player count, will determine how many cursed golds that you need to place here in order to reduce the effectiveness of the Banshee. So it just depends on player count. But this cursed gold spectral card will just allow you to go get some from the bag, and then obviously you have a couple options here, but placing it in the chest is kind of one of the key things you want to do. Now, one of my favorite spectral cards is the green fire cannonballs. And there are green fire tokens in this game, in this new expansion, which can apply to a lot of different types of equipment. But this one, you'll put 3 on the card, and when you're adjacent to a ghost ship, you can place one of those tokens on the ship, which means it reduces the number of successes they have when they use their attack rolls. So I really like this card. It really came in handy as we played. And we played through this expansion 3 times. So you'll move to Act 2 once you've accumulated enough cursed gold or you've run through all the event cards. Now, you're going to be setting up things every time a little differently. You'll be rolling the compass dice, setting up some sea currents, as well as some reefs, making things harder to get around and impassable around the board. But you're going to be dealing with the Banshee. She is going to be starting in the middle of the board on top of a portal. You cannot occupy the same place as the Banshee, so you have to wait till she moves off. But that portal will take you back over to the Phantom Island, where now there are tiles on the island spaces. You'll place a meeple there to get the benefit of those tiles really helping you. I mean, it pays off to go there and get those things for sure. But she's going to start in the middle of the board. You have placed all those things, you'll place your ships, and you're ready to go. Now, there's some new boards to be mindful of. First, we have the Banshee board. You'll see that there are a series of tiles that get placed on here. These are the siphon tiles, and they're random every time you play, so that's pretty interesting as well. And if you had enough cursed gold, the Banshee will start at a level 4 instead of a level 5, so you'll have less souls to deal with. Now, each of these will have individual souls that you'll have to reduce, and you'll see the dial down below. Based on player count will determine how many there are. In this 2-player game, we have got 2, and all the stats that you see on these siphon tiles will dictate what you need to roll against in order to battle the Banshee and reduce the souls. Moving down the line, and as you move down the line, reduce the number of souls, the Banshee becomes more powerful, giving her more successes as she moves down this line, make her more and more powerful. So a little bit closer look at how you siphon souls. So if you take a look at all the different stats that you can roll against, you pick one that obviously fits your character, your board, and you're going to be rolling dice to see how well you do here, obviously. You hope what you really are after is to meet the number exactly. So if you're rolling against your whole, in this example, you want to roll 4, no more, because if you roll 4, you reduce the soul level in the dial by 2. If you roll 1 over, you reduce it by 1. So it still works, but you need to keep that in mind as you're rolling and using your different effects and abilities to either increase your successes or reduce your successes. But I really like the fact that you have multiple options of how to deal with the souls for the Banshee as you move down the different levels. Really makes it interesting, and obviously with so many different players and their stats being different, it really aids you all to work together and use your abilities in the best way. Now, the new timer here in Act 2 is going to be the deck of Banshee cards. So you're going to be drawing 8 of these and putting them into play. Every time you'll have some different ones to deal with. So when you run out of these, the Banshee and the Ghost ships win. Hopefully you've defeated him before you run out of 8 cards or 8 rounds of play, so to say. And each of these cards are going to do various things. So let's take a look at this one. This is the Soul Catcher. So there's a push and pull mechanic. The Banshee will push your ships or pull them closer to her. And you'll have to deal with that based on what the arrows are. Sometimes it's both a push and a pull. So you got to be mindful of that. And she will then teleport to either the closest ship or the ship with the lowest level haunt token. Yes, you're going to have these haunt tokens in Act 2. Even if you didn't have one, you're going to disperse them and so forth. So yeah, they're going to play into what you're doing for sure. And then she's going to attack. And there'll be some modifiers here. It could be a curse that could come up. But here in this case, you're going to just be rolling a normal attack and adding 1 success. But there's some text here as well, where each ship adjacent to the Banshee loses 1 integrity. And for each integrity lost this way, the Banshee gains 1 more soul, adding it to the dial on her particular board. So again, these are the big timer going through these cards. If you don't defeat her before you go through these cards, then they win. The ghosts win. And you know, the ghosts really should not win. Now, also at the start of Act 2, you're gonna be flipping over all of your curse cards. So these are going to do all kinds of different things to you. If you have 4 of them though, you become possessed. And what's interesting is they've got these really fun little glowy bases that you'll put around your ship as it sails. So it'll show that it's possessed. And what's also bad about this is that at the start of your turn, if you're within range of one of your fellow players, you will attack them just like you normally would anything, but you'll roll dice and attack them and so forth. But then the rest of your turn just can be carried out as normal. But those curses, like I said, do all kinds of different things. Like this one is, you must be in the same space as any of these little ghost ships in order to use your attack ability. So curses really do play into or limit what you can do on your turn. So in attacking and defending, all that's going to work the same as it did in the base game, even against the ghost ships. But again, you have to have a spectral card as part of your gear in order to actually affect these ships. Oh, you definitely need to do that in Act 1. And there are ways around that in Act 2, but still, you really should be mindful of that in Act 1. Now the enemy though, you'll see that the Banshee has 5 dice that will roll for attacks. And also though, the ghost ships have their own board showing what their current integrity is, what you have to reduce to remove them from the board. And they can respawn based on those Banshee cards. More could come out, so be mindful of that. Also, on the top of the ghost ship board will show all their stats. They're never going to be rolling. These are set stats. They have a 4 for the hull, a 4 for their successes when they attack, and you'll see that their sailing is up to a 6. And they'll always be going after the closest ship and so forth. And it's just that straightforward. So you don't have to do a lot of rolls for them, but you will be defending against what they're doing and so forth. However, keep in mind that the Banshee card that comes into play could have modifiers that tweak the abilities of the ghost ships, giving them more attack or whatever if they're adjacent to the Banshee and doing various things. So you have to keep that in mind as well. But on your turn, you're going to be doing the basic things, trying to siphon souls when you attack the Banshee. You're trying to remove the ghost ships to get them out of your way, so you're attacking them as well. And you can repeat actions in this Act 2 that you couldn't do in Act 1. So all the things that are there that you would expect from the base game, just a little bit different type of creature or monster that you're dealing with in this version. And really, you hope in the end that you've reduced the Banshee down to level 1 and removed all the souls in order to send the Banshee back to Davy Jones. And worth mentioning, there's also a new ship in this game that you can take control of that has new stats and new abilities for you, the players, to tap into. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here, with the exception of the base game, has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, I have to say that after playing the Kraken and the Cursed, I think I like the Cursed ghost ships better. I like the fact with the Cursed Gold, pulling it from the bag, some really neat things, a very spooky vibe for sure, as you deal with the ghost ships and the Banshee and how their abilities work. And I really enjoyed the fact of how the siphoning works as you attack the Banshee and keep going after it relentlessly, trying to remove it. But be mindful, there are cards in the Banshee that will give them more souls, reducing your integrity as you try to deal with the ship, the ghost ships and the Banshee, and also maneuver around the board in doing so. But also don't forget that going to the Phantom Island is still a crucial part of what you're doing here. And obviously building up yourself before you come to Act 2 is really key. Using all 5 rounds, even though the haunting track gives you some damage or reduces your abilities, it still pays off to spend all 5 rounds in Act 1 in order to get as many cards and as many items and bolster yourself to deal with the Banshee and everything going on. So it really is a fun, really interesting aspects around what you're doing with the Banshee, and I just think that the Cursed Gold was a brilliant aspect here. But I love dice checkers, as you know, so this has a lot of fun dice checking built into it, and really easy and quickly determine if you have successes in battling or siphoning or whatever you're doing. Really fun, and the story aspects here really do play. The theme really comes through. But folks, ultimately, if it looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.